say I'm a bit nervous. I'm gonna need your help to come on a little thought experiment with me here. So let's all imagine we're in an imaginary world, and this world has very specific and very real rules. Okay, so we have a planet, and on this planet we have two different large cities on either side of the planet. And in the middle, we've got some little villages that have settled with the history of this planet. And we have a new problem here. We have an asteroid that's gonna hit the planet in the middle, and it's gonna cut our planet into two. All right. We need to evacuate the people who live in the middle of this planet quickly. And we have a solution to this because there is a railway system on this planet. But it's a railway system that's been organized for the purpose that we had at the time, for transporting merchandise throughout the different villages. And now we need a very different purpose. We need to bring the people from the villages in the middle towards the large cities at the different, at either side of the planet. So we need to reorganize this railway system in order to have the quickest way from the villages to the cities. We have a solution for this because we also have trains on this railway system. And these trains are also very weird. They are built into two different parts, and one part consists of the wheels and the other part of the engine. And these two parts need to be brought together by a third part that can also link to a wagon or maybe to another rail. All right, so if our train can go on one rail and drag another rail, then we can reorganize our railway network, right? I swear to you, I'm not on drugs. This is actually how cells work, all right? So when a cell needs to divide into two, the whole network, the architecture of the cell reorganizes in order to divide the genetic information, the DNA, into two separate equal parts. I cannot stress enough how important it is to divide the DNA into two equal parts. The genetic information, the DNA, is basically the user manual of the cell. And we're not talking about like your iPhone not working here. Like, this is life or death. So we really need our architecture to work really well. And we need to reorganize this whole network into a system that functions in order to separate the DNA into two equal parts. I just want to show you how this actually works without all of these metaphors in an actual cell. So here we have the genetic information in red and our architecture in green. And here we have a cell that's dividing. And you can see that this whole green architecture is reorganizing in a very specific way that's radically different from a cell that's not dividing. And we do recognize the architecture that I told you about before. And this allows the genetic information to be separated, as you can see a bit later in the movie, here. And we end up with two different daughter cells, and our asteroid can go through without damaging the DNA. All right, at this point you still have no idea what I do on a daily basis. I play Lego, literally. I literally try to make the different parts of the train I told you about. And I try to do a very basic system of this railway organization. I try to have an organization, even if this is just two different rails organizing the way we see it really in cells. If I manage to do this with two rails, this already means that I have the basic components of my railway system that allows this mechanism to work in cells. By this point, you're probably thinking, like, this is all very fun, but I mean, this is the fidget spinner of science. It's loads of fun, but it's completely useless. Right. Well, it's not completely useless. I'm not going to tell you that I'm curing cancer, because I'm not. But I'm bringing a new piece of information to this whole jigsaw that's science. And I'm trying to understand how this fundamental system in cells works. This is something that works in every cell. I mean, dinosaur cells divided this way. And so I'm just trying merely, very humbly, to understand how cells work. And this is fundamental science to its core. It doesn't need to have a direct application, but it definitely doesn't mean it's useless. Thank you.